Was that died unfortunately? Rather tragic incident happening in Victoria Park here in East London. This morning. Around 10 to 7 this morning, emergency services were called to Victoria Park to reports of a man being found unconscious. Apparently, he was found by reports that he was found hanging from a tree, basically. Um, Obviously, paramedics attended, police officers attended. Obviously, they tried to. Obviously, the man was taken by. Was treated in the park and then obviously was taken by ambulance to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Obviously, it's been confirmed it was a man in his 50s that was found unconscious there this morning. To be honest, I think the worst thing about this is that this isn't the first time that someone has actually been found dead in Victoria Park. This has happened quite a few times now. Somebody's been found dead in there. But I think the worst thing about this one in particular is it looks like this was a suicide. Because they said that there was a report that of a man hanging from a tree. He was hanging from he was hanging from a tree, so I'm guessing he's hung himself to his own life. And if he has taken his own life, then this is extremely sad. Obviously, we don't know. No one really knows what the man, what the man himself was going through or what he was dealing with. But he must have been going through some pretty bad shit to want to do something like that. I can't imagine um, like how his family must be feeling right now. Like his family must be devastated, and I think that's probably putting him mildly, to say the least. That he is, his family are probably devastated. Obviously formal identification, um, will have to take place, and obviously, it's just horrible. Something like that has happened. I didn't even know anything had happened. What it was. It was like about a couple of hours ago. I was like I was on I was watching YouTube and all that, but I was flicking. I was on my phone. I was on Facebook and things like that, and I see a notification come up. Someone was asking what had happened in Victoria Park, Rove Road side. There was all apparently, they were saying that there was all police there. The area was taped off. There did seem to be an ambulance there as well, and they were sort of asking, what's happened. And I clicked on the thing, and I decided to actually, go on the internet to see if I could find out what had gone on. And obviously, when I looked it up, um, I saw the article online that actually confirmed that at 10 to 7 this morning, emergency services were called to the park after a man was found unconscious there. Um, Obviously, we know that the man has died. He was pronounced dead on arrival, shortly after arrival at the hospital. I'm presuming he would. Well, I think most likely he would have been taken to the Royal London Hospital from Victory Park. Um, Obviously, this is devastating for the family. Um, it's sad that somebody felt the need to kind of take their own life like that. It must have been a horrible, thing for who. It was obviously a member of the public who has found the man unconscious and contacted emergency services. Someone was probably had probably gone jogging through the park early this morning, or maybe they were walking their dog early this morning and they happened to find a man unconscious. Um, and obviously they've alerted the emergency services and informed them that, of the situation they've got there, you know. Um, I don't know. Obviously, they didn't say exactly how long the man had been there. Only that he was found at 10 to 7 this morning by a member of the public. He was obviously alerted emergency services. Not sure if he's been there a few hours or if he's been there all night. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know exactly how long how long he was there. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's sad that somebody felt the need to take their own life like that. You're sort of thinking, well, that man must have been going through some very difficult things. Must have been dealing with a lot of issues. Um, if he felt the need to do something like that, which obviously he did feel the need to do that, you can't help but feel sorry for, him, and obviously sorry for his family. My condone, like my deepest sympathies and sincerest condolences, or obviously with his family, friends, people that knew him. Obviously, it's just, as I said, it's horrible because it's not the first time. Obviously, this isn't the first time that someone has actually been found dead in Victoria Park. This has happened quite a few times now, and I sadly don't think this will be the last time an incident of, something like this happens. It probably will happen again, you know. I mean, I think the last few times someone's been found dead, in the park, um, but, yeah, obviously, um, the last few times someone's been found dead in the park, I think it was a homeless person. I don't know if this was a homeless person who took their own life or not. I'm not entirely sure. All that the only information there is at time of recording is that police officers and paramedics from London's ambulance service walked to Victoria Park at 10 to 7 this morning, following reports that a man in his 50s was found unconscious hanging from a tree. And the man unfortunately was pronounced dead in hospital. He wasn't pronounced dead at the scene. He was pronounced dead in hospital basically. Um, not long after arrival at the hospital, obviously. Um, Emergency services did everything they could to try and revive him, but unfortunately, nothing could be done. I mean, as I said, this is just ridiculously sad. Well, not ridiculously sad, but it is very sad that this happened, and that this person has lost their life. You know, in these awful circumstances. My heart goes out. As I said, my heart goes out to his family. I mean, as I said, you're sort of thinking about what was he going through to make him want to do something like that. You know, there's no knowing what he was going through, and it's just very sad, very very sad. Like, I don't know what else to say. I mean, obviously it's not something you hear about all the time. Thankfully, it's not. It's not a frequent situation where people are being found dead in the park. This happens every now and then. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen from time to time. Um, they're saying that they're treating his death as unexplained but not suspicious, so they don't think there was any foul play involved in this incident. Obviously, they are. I think that, they're fully confident that obviously nobody had anything to do with this man's unfortunate death. It seems that's what they've said anyway. They've said that it's unexplained, but not suspicious. So, obviously, my heart, as I said, goes out to his family, his friends, his loved ones, people that knew him. Obviously, they've got to try and come to terms with this, horrific tragedy that has occurred today. Obviously, it'll probably be a very hard time for his family right now as they try to navigate what's been obviously an extremely difficult time for them as a family. Obviously, it's hard to imagine, what the family are going through right now, and obviously you know, the pain they must be dealing, they must be dealing with. It's always sad, especially in the circumstances where somebody has taken their own life, which is clearly what's happened in this incident. Obviously, the man that's taken his own life. Um, I mean, I assume there's probably more dignifying ways to take your own life than to uh, probably obviously to, you know, than to kind of, you know, hang yourself from a tree. But I guess sometimes, I guess when you're desperate, you don't really think about what you're doing. You know, I try to think what that man must have been going through. I mean, obviously, you know, that's what I think you need to think about. You know, you need to think about what he may have been going through. You know what he may have been dealing with. But no one really knows that for sure. You know, and it's hard to judge someone. I mean, that's why I say you should never judge anyone if you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know, or you don't know what sort of situation they were in. You know, there could be a whole number of reasons why this man felt the need to do that, or felt that it was necessary to ultimately take his own life, which is obviously what he did think was necessary. I don't know why, but you know, sometimes people think it is necessary, but it's not always. That's not always the case. Um, and yeah, it is. Obviously, as I said, it's a horrible set of circumstances, and obviously, I'm sure there will be extensive investigations over the coming weeks and months to try and find out obviously what happened. But yeah, what I would obviously do a little video about that this evening. I mean, it's never nice to hear about things like this. You know, you always feel for the person in that situation because you know you never know what they would go. You don't know what you know what they were going through, or you know what they were dealing with, or you know what made them feel like they needed to do that. You know, and you feel for the member of the public who discovered the man's body. That's not something you would, you know, when you know, mate, if you're driving through a park or you're walking through a park or whatever with your dog, you never expect to find someone unconscious hanging from a tree. That's something you would least expect to find. Um, you know, as I said, Vicky Park. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of incidents now where someone's been found dead in there. It's not. It's a sad thing to think about. It's not a pleasant thing. It's certainly not the most pleasant thing to think about, but sadly, that is the reality of it. You know, this isn't the first time that someone has been found dead in the park. You know? And I certainly don't think it'll be the last time either. I mean, this wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last time. You know, as I said, my condolences, my sympathies with the man's family. I mean, obviously, if he had family, we don't know what his circumstances were, do we, to be honest. So I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. Before I do a video on that, I'll see you for another video soon. Bye bye.